More NASCAR content? For all the latest in NASCAR, including driver interviews, race recaps, fantasy NASCAR, listener call-in shows, and awesome giveaways, tune in to the Lap Traffic Podcast on iTunes, Podbean, or your favorite hosting site with new shows every Tuesday night. Check out Lap Traffic on the web, thelaptrafficpodcast.com, and follow on Twitter @LapTrafficPC. Don't get caught chasing the lucky dog. Tune in each and every week to the Lap Traffic Podcast. See ya!
With the ButtKicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. ButtKicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the start of the season officially for the Full Send Racing Series Season 4. It's the first official points race, and what a racetrack for us to come to. It is Daytona International Speedway that we find ourselves getting ready for some racing action. Drivers underway with practice, about to be entering qualifying, and we cannot wait for it. You got to see an incredible clash race last week at the LA Coliseum, and now from the shortest short track you could go to some of the bigger super speedways that you could find yourselves. Big swing, but it should be some great racing here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, and joining me is going to be Trevor Earhart. Trevor, we got a little bit of a preview last week, got to see some short track racing, but Daytona, this is the start of the season officially.
Start of the season, start of the points paying races for these guys, and Sam, I expect the excitement level to be just as high as what we saw last week at the Coliseum for the Clash race. Maybe not as much beating and banging as what we saw last week, as aerodynamics are going to be kind of important here at Daytona, but exciting nonetheless.
It certainly should be, and if you've been watching here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, this is our third Super Speedway race in a row, and it has been a pleasure to watch some of the great finishes that we've had. But a little bit of a preview also, you could say, last night we had the ISRC Truck Series. They ran at the same course, a little bit of a longer race than we're going to be seeing here tonight for these drivers for the Full Send Racing Series, but was still a spectacular four-wide finish. We could see a very similar thing here tonight as qualifying about to get started, as the drivers get themselves ready to go. We got around that at 26 drivers, potentially up to 28. Got to be racing here tonight. We're actually missing quite a few drivers in total of some of the rookies that have signed up, some part-time drivers that might show up later in the season. But Trevor, it all starts here with qualifying.
It's all about getting out here on your first qualifying lap, getting the truck up to speed. It takes about a lap for these trucks to get up to full speed for themselves, so that you're going to see these guys in their qualifying laps running that high line the first lap, trying to get as much momentum as they can starting their second lap. And this is going to determine kind of what your plan is for the race. If you start up front, most likely going to stay up front. Start in the middle, you might think about dropping to the back, and the guys at the back might decide they want to stay back there and see how the race plays out. But it all starts right here in qualifying.
All starts right now as we're going to be seeing the 13. This is Chris Chavez Essery that is on screen for us. Going to be starting on the outside lane. And yeah, you talked about it. The first lap, a much more of a build-up lap. But drivers have been noticing the first lap also could be the fastest lap if you can really hit your marks. And that's what we're starting to see here from the 13, dropping down to that black seam and already getting ready. This looks to be the money lap for the 13 machine.
Yeah, that's where you're riding that yellow line, trying to keep that wheel as smooth as possible, not get down and clip the apron, scrub off some speed, let it roll out of the corners so you can carry the momentum down the back straightaway. Doing a really good job here on his first lap, looking like he's going to try to, like you said, Sam, get all the speed he can on his first lap and see where it's going to put the 13 truck, but looking pretty clean so far down the backstretch.
Very clean for himself. Is going to be trying to make this 13 as smooth as possible. Maybe could come down a little bit closer to that yellow line, but the goal is don't scrub off the speed. And out of turn number 4, letting that 13 drift up to the black seam, now dropping it even closer down to the inside lane. Down on the apron, it's clear and sailing to do so. And the 13, his first lap in the money lap, only 4th best. It's Christopher Norris, who is going to be a fill-in driver here tonight for Andrew Medlin, who's running the 12. Norris is top of the board currently with a 52.093 second time.
Dude, what a great lap there by Christopher Norris. Fastest so far by almost a couple of hundredths of a second over the 18 of Austin Call, who's in at a 52.1, and then Zach Hall with a 52.15. So top 3 fairly close, and then it goes down to Chris Chavez there in the 13 and 4th. But Chavez missing a little bit of speed there, I'm sure, from what he would have liked to have seen on the board, but nonetheless a good starting spot so far for the 13 machine.
And that could have been the factor of just letting that truck drift up a little bit too high. That was also another thing of talking of drivers trying to figure out how much do you really want to bounce around, give up your speed. And a driver that seems to be taking a little bit easier, a lot higher of a line, kind of trying to do a similar thing that we just saw from S3. It's the 99 of John Dart going to be out there on course. This is going to be his first lap. 19 drivers have already put in a time, and we've got that of 3 more that are on their money lap currently. We could be also seeing a group of drivers deciding not to put in a time. And Trevor, that's going to be something to talk about as we've got 1 minute and 30 seconds left. But here comes John Dart, who is trying to find himself in a victory lane on a super speedway. He has looked good at super speedways before. He's finished second at Daytona before, and he's also finished second at Talladega. He knows how to be up front at the end. He just hasn't gotten that first win just yet, but it could start out with a great qualifying time. Here comes the 99 across the line for himself, and the time comes in, and it's the pole currently right now for John Dart.
A great lap there by John Dart. Puts himself on the pole by about 100th of a second over that of the 12 of Christopher Norris. So great lap by John, getting all that he can out of that truck, not scrubbing off a lot of speed in the corners, and putting in a great lap. But Sam, like you mentioned, some drivers might think about not taking those times. And right now, a handful of drivers yet to put in a time. And that's just, I think that's going to be a comfortability thing for these guys, letting this race play out in the early stages, staying at the back, seeing what drivers are willing to do early on, and keeping yourself out of trouble, as there is no fast repair for these drivers tonight.
And coming across the line to finish out their time is going to be that of the number 3 machine of Ryan Lynch. So Ryan Lynch going to be done with their time. 20th was the best for themselves. But yeah, there's about 6 drivers, 6 to 7, that deciding not to qualify. We'll see how well they can march through the field. If you're watching again last night, great preview of what we're expecting to see here this evening. Saw a lot of drivers that started in the back, actually had some misfortunes, able to drive up and even take the lead and lead some laps. So doesn't matter where you start out. This race is not over for yourself. As long as you got full power, you've got a chance to win this evening. As the drivers find themselves done with qualifying, you're seeing the sun starting to set. It's time for us to ramp things up because that qualifying is done. And let's take a look at our qualifying results. John Dart, who's been here for 4 seasons, hoping still for his first win, going to be taking the pole for the 99 machine. Fill-in driver for Andrew Medlin, who is not going to be able to race for these first 2 races. It's going to be Christopher Norris in second for the 12. Newcomer and rookie going to be Austin Call in 3rd place. That of Travis Dart going to be in that of 4th, with Christopher Wade in 5th. Going to be also seeing rookies driver, who we saw last week. Going to be that of Jason Furra, going to be there in 6th. Ken Campbell going to be in 7th, with Zach Hall going to be in 8th place. Doug Pierce, great time for the 39. He'll be in 9th, with Ross Tatum, our last season champion, finishing out our top 10.
Nick Holland's going to roll off in 11th, followed by Chris Essery in 12th. Will Bustler will roll off 13th with Jonathan Casepier to his outside. Brian Wilson will roll off 15th with Chris Stitz in 16th. Charles Hugel 17th. Philip Chavez in 18th. Cole Sicchetti in 19th. And Ryan Lynch will round out the top 20.
Then in 21st is going to be Logan Keys in the 42 position, into the 42 machine in 21st. 22nd is going to be that of Blair Peterson as well. Peterson going to be as well that of Cameron Starr in Season 1 and Season 2 champion, going to be in 23rd, with Kyle Carpenter in 24th. That of Jonathan Woods in 25th, with 26th going to Sam Siegel. Nick Gould going to be in 27th, with that of Lyle Christensen, in the 53 and 28th. And then also rookie going to be that of Ryan Stanhoff, going to be there in 29th. 29 drivers hoping to be racing here this evening. A lot of different diversity on where they're going to be running here tonight. Trevor, right before these drivers get rolling, what are you expecting to see here in the early portions?
I think we're going to see these guys kind of fall in line, feel each other out. A lot of rookies in the field tonight, a lot of guys that have been here for multiple seasons. So I think we're going to see drivers filling each other out, finding who they want to work with, find your teammates, and get in line and see what we got to do. Pretty quick little sprint race to the stage, 20 laps till the stage break. So around that 15 lap mark, I think we'll start seeing guys trying to make a move to get those stage points. But early going, Sam, I expect people to find their teammates and get working together.
They're going to be hoping for a lot of speed for themselves, and we'll see how well they can run up front, because we've seen a lot of drivers perform well, but we want to take a look at a driver that's already won here in Freaky Fast this start out 2023. That's going to be 5th place runner, that of Christopher Wade. We'll see if we can get the 53 up in the booth for us. Christopher, it's Sam and that of Trevor up in the booth. Man, you qualified 5th. We've already seen you win at the start out this season back in the Stars and Stripes series. How are you feeling tonight in the trucks?
I'm feeling all right, man. It's a hit and miss at this track. You just have to have pretty good luck on your side sometimes. But hopefully, me and Ken can get hooked up together and do something.
Chris, is there any strategy early on in this race? Drop to the back, stay at the front. Any inkling into what you're going to do here?
I'm going to be a little safe. It's all about making it towards the end, so we don't got no fast repair here, so it's all about keeping the truck clean.
Well, Chris, we're going to let you head down to your team, but man, good luck tonight on trying to get a win.
Thank you, guys.
As that was Christopher Wade in the 53. He's going to start 5th, 3rd truck on the inside, and he seems to be trying to start to feel those nerves, a little bit unsure, but certainly he's already found himself in victory lane, knowing how to win at this track. He was in the ARCA cars for the Stars and Stripes this past Thursday, but certainly he has won in other series that we've covered before. But the base car is off. It's time for a brand new season to start. It's the Season 4 for the Full Send Racing Series into the restart zone, and the Daytona 175 presented by REG Customs is green, heading down into turn number 1. It's John Dart going to be leading that inside line. Christopher Norris leading the outside line. And here we go. Trevor as they start up front.
It was a good push there by Austin Call, giving the 99 of John Dart a pretty good shove out in turn number 1, giving him the advantage of that outside line with Christopher Norris and Travis Dart starting to form up. See if they got to run a pretty good run down the backstretch for Norris and Dart. Dart trying to push the 12 in front of John Dart down the back straightaway. Norris not going to take that. Not going to take the opportunity there to drop down low. He's going to stay to that outside.
Outside lane having that of 2 different rookies in those first 3 cars. Interesting to watch how they're going to run. You got Christopher Norris, a brand new driver entering the fray, coming in as a fill-in driver, hoping to have a good run for himself, but having also that inside run of John Dart. Dart leads lap number 1 for the 99, but Austin Call looking like a solid pusher on the inside lane, and I think that's going to be a testament of how the drivers react here early. Watch to see who can you trust, who can't you trust, as there are going to be a couple of rookies for us to talk about. We'll touch on them more later on, but Trevor, early portions, we're still staying side by side, and oh, it's John Dart automatically bouncing out and what's out of that lead pack.
Yeah, interesting there by John Dart deciding, hey, I led my lap. I'm going to go ahead and drop to the back here, fall in line, see what, let these guys race it out, and that allows Christopher Norris now to take the lead. He drops down in front of the 18 of Austin Call, leaves the 26 of Travis Dart out there to the outside by himself, and John Dart falls all the way back to, I believe, right in front of Nick Holland down there in 14th position.
Yeah, I mean, from the lead all the way back to 14th, it's interesting to see because I know there's always that different mindset of drivers. Some want to be up front as bouncing out to the outside lane. It's going to be the 18 of Austin Call, and Call going to be seeing the back bumper as we're riding on board with the 26 of Travis Dart. And Travis hoping for a decent run for himself. This 26 looking quick, trying to get the bounce, and look at the speed coming out of the corner. That outside lane, saw last night it being so strong. Momentum builders. That inside groove still has some decent pace, and it makes sense. You got Christopher Wade, 2nd truck on the inside. That is a driver that you want to trust to have behind you, and he's going to be fast.
That bottom line right now, Christopher Norris, Christopher Wade, Zach Hall, King Campbell, all in that bottom line. That's a pretty good 4-truck pack right there. That's pretty good at super speedway racing. But bottom line, shortest way around the track, carry a lot of speed, but that outside line has that momentum, advantage out of the corners, allows them to kind of pull back up on these guys out of turn number 2, out of turn number 4. And right now, we're going to probably see a little bit of it here coming through 1 and 2 with Austin Call and Travis Dart. And I believe that's the 118 of Jason Foray up there in the 3rd line. We're seeing him get a little bit of a run here down the back straightaway, but not enough to get up to the side of the 12 Christopher Norris at the moment.
Not able to make that pass just yet, but we're still staying stable side by side almost all the way through until you get to round that of 14th to 15th, but there's still a lot of drivers deciding to stay side by side, but it's really our top 14 still very jammed up with one another. And Trevor, these drivers have had practice races in these past couple of weeks trying to prepare for tonight, recognizing they don't have a fast repair. They only have 4 extra sets of tires in pit road, but those practice races have not been very clean. There's been a lot of wrecks happening. How do you think that's going to change the mindset of these drivers, recognizing they got 70 laps, but the stage break at lap 20, you can get some bonus points if you're in the top 10?
I think we're going to see the aggression kick up once we get to around that stage break, area and see these guys try to get those bonus points. We saw how important they were last season with how the playoffs went and needing those extra points. But, back to the practice races, I think, they tend to be a little bit messy. Drivers try to make moves that normally they wouldn't try to make to see if they're going to work. But, if it's the same driver causing issues over and over again, I think that as a driver kind of makes you wonder, okay, hey, if I'm around this guy, I know he's going to maybe pull something that I don't like. Maybe I want to get out of the way, drop to the back. And we'll just have to see how it plays out for these guys. But it's starting to look like, Sam, that they're going to single file out here for a little bit. Is now we're only 2x2 for about the 8th position on back.
And the main reason why there was a massive blink by the 18 of Austin Call, and Call was told over the radio by Travis Dart, hey, you were gone for about 5 seconds, just want to let you know. And he said, oh, thanks for the report, I'm now going to drop to the back. And that's why everyone single filed up, allowing the 18 to just get out of the way. He'll drop to the apron, and from battling up for the lead, now all the way down to that of 20th position is going to be Austin Call. But up front, allowing some new names to be up there, as we're seeing that of the 42, of that of Cole Sacchetti, trying to make that inside lane work, but that outside groove being led by Doug Pearson, the 39.
Pearson, the 39, leading that outside group. But just as you say that, I believe the 21, Ross Tatum, jumps up to the outside line now with a little bit of help from the 1 of Will Bustler. Those 3 getting hooked up. Sacchetti now comes up to the outside line in front of Doug Pearson. Make that 4 or 5 trucks now with Travis Dart being in the back of that pack, trying to make that outside line come back to life here.
And that is the 21 of Ross Tatum, winner of the championship last season. They were running an Xfinity car, now jumping to the inside. That's going to be K-Spear in the 8 machine, deciding to fall back to their teammates. You can finally see that team in the black and blue. That's Ambush Racing. That is all going to be all rookie, a full rookie team. There's actually about that of 3 different full rookie teams that entered this season that are all going to be hoping for a good run for themselves. But, touching back with Ross Tatum, that championship, he won it last season. They were in the Xfinity car. This season, they're in the trucks. This was the vehicle that they ran back in season 2. It was the last season we saw Cameron Sarton win a championship. But Ross Tatum, he is getting a massive surge, and we're now side by side for the lead. Christopher Norris hoping to defend on the inside groove, but the outside lane can be very strong once they have enough vehicles in line, and the momentum is there as a big bump by Will Bustler, and the 21 almost fully clear at this moment.
Bustler with a big shove all over the rear bumper of the 21 of Ross Tatum, giving him a really good push down the back straightaway. Tatum not quite, I don't think, was ever clear. The 12 of Christopher Norris decides not to try to force his way down to the bottom. So they stay side by side off in turn number 4 here. And another good shove by the 1 of Will Bustler, going to push the 21 out to the front again. It's still just not enough momentum to clear the inside line for that of Ross Tatum to go down. But he does get a lap led here going into turn number 1.
Got a lot of drivers that might be seeing some alliances be built, as we've got drivers that are in line. We got 2 real defined teams that are up front. That is the SXS Racing team, which is Will Bustler, that of Jonathan Woods, as well as Ross Tatum and Christopher Wade. You got 3 of the 4 up in the top, that of 5 right now, with Ross Tatum and Will Bustler leading the outside groove. The second truck on the inside is where Christopher Wade lies. But then also the other drivers, the other top 4 on the inside groove, those are all freaky fast drivers. You got the fill-in of Christopher Norris, then you got Zach Hall, Ken Campbell. Strong teams are battling for that lead position, and they're not giving up.
Not giving up at all, but Ross Tatum finally got that momentum to push he needed from Bustler. He's going to drop down in front of that of Christopher Norris, get down to the bottom line here. So that's going to leave that of Will Bustler and the 42 of Cole Sacchetti up at the top line by themselves, with a little bit of help here from the 39 of Doug Pierce. And then I believe that is the 2 machine. I'm sorry, that's the 3 machine of Ryan Lynch on the outside line, trying to close up on that group as Bustler gets a really good push here from the 42 of Sacchetti, and he's going to now drop down in front of the 21 of Ross Tatum.
Yeah, there is going to be a little bit of confusion on screen. The driver that you see in the 2, that is Jonathan Woods in the black and blue. There is a white and blue number 2. That is Ryan Lynch, who put in the wrong scheme for himself. On our ticker, Ryan Lynch is number 3, but on track, he is the white and blue number 2 that you see right there. So a little bit of confusion. We'll try to keep you on track on which driver is which. Again, black and blue, Jonathan Woods. White and blue, that is Ryan Lynch. As the drivers in line, Currently leading that outside groove, going to be that of Cole Sacchetti. Sacchetti, biggest mover so far, up 15 positions. Will Bustler, who's leading this race on the inside lane, he's up 12 spots. Up another driver that's up 12 spots is actually Ryan Lynch in that white and blue number 2. So already starting to see some big swings of drivers trying to gain as many positions as possible. And Trevor already showing it was something we kind of touched on. It doesn't matter where you start, but certainly you got to be careful to be caught up in the big one.
Yeah, you're always going to be cautious about getting caught up in the wreck. We've seen, John Dart lead the first lap, decide he's going to drop to the back. We saw that with Case Beer and all his teammates deciding, hey, we're going to drop to the back, regroup with our team, come back up to the front. Maybe feeling a little bit uncomfortable with how the front pack is racing. So I haven't really seen anything too outrageous from this front pack quite yet, but just drivers realizing that, hey, we still got a long way to go. No fast repair. Want to preserve that truck as long as we can to make sure that we're there at the end, because at the end of the race, that's the most important time, and that's when you want to have your clean truck.
But we know something that we can call outrageous. John Dart, who we saw get the pole, led this race. Well, he's now in danger of potentially going a lap down. He is over 30 seconds off of our leaders and about to be in sight of our leaders. And the speed difference when you're by yourself compared to those that are in this lead pack, around 4 seconds in total is the speed difference. Incredible pace that the draft allows you to put up to.
Yeah, and that's bad news there for John Dart. He might go a lap down here before the end of the stage. Thankfully for him, though, is if he does get lap, being the only truck a lap down allows him to get that lucky dog position where, when that stage brake caution comes out. But just unfortunate turn of events for a pole sitter, as he is out of the draft and in danger of going a lap down before the end of the stage.
He's got to find himself to be careful. But again, for all the audience watching, we do have our stage break that is going to be at the end of lap 20 for these drivers. So they still are closing in on that time, and it's about to be a flip switch very shortly here, Trevor, of yes, we're seeing our front about 10 being very aggressive at this moment, but when will it be drivers willing to potentially ruin their race to just finish up in the top 10 for those bonus points?
That's going to be the interesting question there. We're going to have to wait and see what the answer is going to be. I don't know if we'll see drivers be that aggressive. I mean, it is just stage points, and I think at the end of the day, a lot of these guys want to be around to get that win, to start off the season with a win and maximize the points. But stage points, they are important, especially for playoff time. So I think we'll see a couple drivers make some big moves just to kind of feel out, hey, what can we do? What can we maybe get away with? And we might see some big moves. We might see some drivers decide that, hey, I don't want to be up here. When drivers start making those moves and drop to the back just to save what they can. And we're getting close to that point, Sam, where these drivers are going to have to start thinking about what they want to do here coming to the stage.
And riding on board the 101 of Philip Chavez. Philip Chavez is going to be a part of Average Joe Racing. That's Doug Pierce, Lyle Christensen, and Philip Chavez. Just a team of 3. But honestly, right now, looking at this team, scattered kind of throughout where they are with all throughout this field. But riding on board the 101, Trevor, we're getting that sense of what it's like to be in the cockpit, on the fact that you really can't see much of the drivers around.
You cannot see a thing out of these trucks, especially when you're this close to somebody. I mean, that spoiler sticks up right in front of your face, and if something happens in front of you, you gotta hope that the driver in front of you calls it out. You get a glimpse of it maybe through the side of the truck as you're going through the corners, but there is not a lot of visibility when you're tucked up behind somebody like that. And then at these speeds of 180 miles an hour, there's not a lot of time to make a move when something goes wrong in front of you.
And for these drivers right now, we're seeing them starting to close in. The lead pack was all that of 14 drivers. The second group kind of was single filing out and giving each other plenty of space. But we're now 5 laps to go before this stage break is done. And we're starting to see some newcomers trying to poke their nose going forward now. And Philip Chavez, probably one of the drivers in the back to watch out for, but it's Cameron Sarton who I got my eye on. It's the 24 Mickey Mouse machine on the outside. He is in that of the red and white. Did you see him in the top end? He's right at the tail of that lead group. That 24, Trevor, he's found a way to win a championship in this vehicle before. He's hoping to find himself in a victory lane here at Daytona.
Yeah, slowly making his way up to the front. Got the 68 and Nick Holland right behind him, 30 of Charles Hugel right in front of him, and just kind of looking for a way to go in that 24 machine. Two-time series champ. Tried to follow it up last year with a 3-peat. Just came up so close to that one. Trying to work his way up here, get those bonus points that he can. About 4 to go here left in stage number 1.
What's interesting about this is these drivers, a lot of team changes going on with all the rookies coming in. A lot of drivers trying to build up teams as strong as they could. Interesting thing about Cameron Sarton, he was officially supposed to be at the start of the offseason, was going to join that Chris Ditz, Cole Sketty, Nick Holland on the Hack Racing team, but actually was talked to by the admins about changing it up. Felt like that team might have been too strong, and they balanced out the two-time champ and that of Cameron Sarton, then moved over to Ghost Racing. The 24 then joined with that of Charles Hugel, Sam Siegel, and John Dart. And when you put a championship contender with drivers that have not been able to even get a win for themselves, that could elevate that team. You know, when you get a driver that's found a way to get to victory lane, it's always interesting to see how that's going to make a team better, or will they just stay stagnant like they are? But right now, all those drivers from Ghost Racing, very close to one another. You got Hugel, Siegel, Sarton, all around one another and feeling confident.
Feeling confident, feeling good, working together. But right now, 24 Sarton dropped back down to the bottom line, trying to just ride it out, it looks like. And up front, the battle continues to one. Will Bustler now to the lead with the 42. Cole Siketi to his outside. Cameron for Ross Tatum in the 21 there as they're coming up on the lap truck of the 99. And John Dart, everybody squeezing down to the bottom line as Dart stays to the outside. It's like everybody's going to get through this cleanly. And Sam, that's one thing as a driver at Super Speedways you've always got to be cautious about is when you come up to lap the truck, what is going to happen with the pack if there's 2x2 like that? Yeah, either the lap car usually stays high or they stay low on the racing surface, or what you really like when you're a lead driver is them just pulling down to the apron. John Dart could be staying to the outside, could become our first driver to go a lap down this season, and drivers have been notified because of the fact that we have a race control now. Steve Benjamin has told the field pit road is closed as we're 2 to go until we get our stage break caution. Only the top 10 are going to get bonus points, and right now, that drivers that are at that bubble spot, it is the lane that has Chris Ditz and Ken Campbell. That's 9th and 10th with one another as we're side by side. This is the white flag of our stage. Oh, actually, they're going to call it right now. Oh, a little bit of a change this season. Instead of the end of the line, they're actually going to do it right on the lap. So race control throwing it down. Interesting to see, but changing it up, and that is going to be our stage in the one of Will Bustler. Will be our stage winner. With that of Ross Tatum in second, Cole Siketi going to get third, Christopher Norris going to get fourth, with Doug Pierce fifth. That of Ryan Lynch going to get sixth. That of Christopher Wade seventh. Zach Hall eighth. Ninth goes to Chris Ditz, and Ken Campbell is taking that final bonus point for themselves. Drivers are going to go into pit road when we come back from pit road stops, though. That's when we'll talk to our stage winner of the one. But in the meantime, gives us some moments to give some thanks to our sponsors. And for us currently, we want to give a big thanks to that of iRacing iFlag. You see them blinking in the top left. iRacing iFlag is one of our main sponsors when it comes to cautions because they have the patented virtual flag system. Now that iFlag virtual flag system allows you to see what the flag conditions are on track. It's a blinking light that allows you to know, hey, what is the flag state? Is there a yellow flag? Are you given a blue flag to be warned of traffic coming? Black flag that you've got yourself in trouble. It is a great feature to have, as well as having the digital pit board. Go head over to iRacing iFlag to see all the other great equipment that they have. And remember, when at purchase, use our promo code FreakyFast2022 at your checkout. As drivers enter pit road, do not want to make any mistakes, Trevor, as drivers easily can slide through their box. Slide through your box, you know, maybe speed down pit road. Really hard to speed down pit road when you're under caution, but sliding through your box cost you a little bit of time, cost you that track position. Maybe you end up being one of the trucks that was up front, go to the back and you slide through your box. And the same, we see it all the time with pit stops, drivers sliding through boxes, not taking tires or making a mistake on pit road. And something I think we're going to touch on a lot this season again, like we did last season. Mistakes on pit road.
Pit road mistakes, but also you can take pit road advantages. Cole Siketi, 2 tires for the 42 machine, as he will get his service done for himself. Great call. Place himself in a great position for himself. Will Bustler going to be a part of that SXS Racing team. We're going to be trying to see if we can pull him up into the booth, as he's going to be trying to get himself sorted and ready. But our stage break winner, pulling him in the booth. We're going to see if we got Will with us. Will, it's Sam and Trevor from Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You got us?
Yeah, how's it going?
I mean, what a run for yourself. Find yourself being the stage break winner. Man, how does it feel being up front? We saw you moving through the field pretty easily, it looked like at times. You're moved up that of 12 positions to get that stage win. But man, how are you feeling on that run?
Oh, really good. I love driving the trucks. Me and Ross got stuck behind a group of cars there. The top line was not moving at all. So we were just going to get back in line, and we knew once we got around them, we were just going to go straight to the front. So we kind of had that in mind. Everything worked out the way that we hoped.
Will, you and pretty much all your teammates, Ross, Christopher, Jonathan's around there in the top 10. I mean, all y'all are up at the front. Is that kind of y'all's plan as a team, stay up at the front as much as possible?
Oh, yeah, always. There was definitely a lot of talk deciding if we want to just hang in the back or just race. So we're out here to have fun. So if anything's going to happen, we'd rather be up front when it happens. So yeah, it should be a good race.
Well, Will, congratulations on being our stage break winner to start out the season. Enjoy your time for the rest of the race. Hopefully we will be talking to you later, and good luck.
All right, thanks, fellas.
As that's going to be SXS Racing driver Will Bustler in the number 1 machine. Trevor, I mean, interesting to see that drivers are thinking about just being up front, or you think that's kind of a normal thing to be seen?
I think if you're up front, that's where you're going to stay. You're least likely to be in trouble statistically, or if you're out front compared to being in the back. But Sam, we've seen it where wrecks happen between the leaders and it takes out the whole field. But we've also seen it where wrecks happen, in the middle of the pack and take out everybody behind the guys that are in the front. It's just it's part of super speedway racing. You don't know where that wreck's going to happen. But the safest spot to be typically out front or way behind the pack when that happens.
Another thing I'm going to throw out before we go back to Green Flag Racing, Cole Sacchetti taking 2 tires. Like it, a different call, or what do you think in there?
Tires at super speedways, not the most important thing. The 2 tire stop, maybe a little bit of a track position call, get out front, make sure you're in that clean air. You control the pace of the field as we're getting ready to go back green, but tires not being that big of a advantage here. So not surprised to see drivers take 2 tires.
Well, it's going to be that of Cole Sacchetti taking the lead position after the pass under pit road. Takes 2 tires. The rest of the field takes 4 or just sits in pit road trying to go to the back of half of the field. Then you got Will Bustler, stage break winner. He'll start in 2nd. Christopher Norris 3rd. Ross Tatum 4th. 5th goes to Christopher Wade. And the rest of the field ready to get back to Green Flag Racing as the Daytona 175 presented by REG Racing Customs is back to racing action down into turn number 1. Already, that outside lane went nowhere.
Yeah, that outside line not really stacked up as well as the inside line. As a restart in general, not everybody kind of up on the rear bumper of each other. That allows the 42 and the 12 of Sacchetti and Norris to get a pretty good jump, but the teammates up on that top line, Will Bustler, Ross Tatum, pretty good shove by those 2, working their way back up side by side with that of Christopher Norris for that 2nd position. And they've got the 39 there of Doug Pierce trying to close in and see if he can help those 2 trucks out to get some momentum built up on that outside line.
Stage is done. We are now racing this to the end. 70 laps in total. 23 about to be making it to that of 24 about to start. And it's going to be that 42 of Cole Sacchetti. Got himself a bonus point. Will Bustler, Ross Tatum, teammates trying to battle their way up that lead position. And with the way that these drivers are on top with one another, something that we also haven't touched on that much, that is going to be watching out for your temps as a wiggling for those lead spots. But it's going to be the one. A lot of momentum to watch out here, but those temps, Trevor, are going to be something for us to watch out for later on in this race.
Yeah, if you're pushing too hard, you can really get the water temperature, the oil temperature way up in these trucks. And thankfully, these drivers have that visual aid of the gauges blinking at them. When that happens, you'll see drivers kind of duck out of line to the outside of the truck in front of them, try to get some air to that front bumper, keep those temperatures down. But late in the race, you can't look at those gauges. You just got to try to find the lane that works for you. So there might be a couple opportunities at the end of this race where we could see some engines go up in smoke as drivers make aggressive pushes to try to get up to the front of the field.
In the front of the field is where we want to be at the end of the day, but certainly we touched on it just slightly. We got a lot of rookies out here on track. We got to see a little bit of a small picture of where the rookies were running last week at the Clash, but there is our rookie class right now on track on where they're running. And I got to say, Trevor, this rookie class, I'm interested to see how they're going to perform at other racetracks. We got to see that of the 9 machine, Brian Wilson, probably one of the most proficient of the drivers that we got to see last week on the way that he ran, but there are certainly a lot of other drivers hoping for a good season for themselves, like we saw Ross Tatum do last season, rookie to win a championship.
Yeah, a lot of good drivers in there. I mean, you look at Brian Wilson had a good run last week at the Clash. Jason Foray was there. Jonathan Casepier was also there. They ran fairly well for how difficult that track is. We saw them up front, that team of Casepier and Foray up front early on, and then had to drop to the back of the field. So look for that team, I think, to come back up. 4 trucks in that team could be really strong. All rookies there as well. So looking forward to seeing what those drivers can do, and like you said, what the rest of the rookies can do once we get outside of the super speedway racing in the season.
And that's just the rookie class that showed up here tonight. There are plenty of more that have already signed up for this series that we're expecting to see show up next week for these drivers. And gotta say, this schedule looks fun for me, at least, up at the booth. I'm excited for it. Next week, we are heading to one of the most fun tracks for these trucks to be at. That is going to be Homestead for 133 laps, then head to Bristol, and then Auto Club, and then Eldora. These first 5 races are going to be a blast for us up in the booth.
Oh, it's going to be a great start to the season, like it was last year for the Xfinity cars. We go from super speedway to the 1.5 mile of Homestead, which is really fun track in these trucks. Really a good track for these vehicles, multi-groove racing. To that of the short track of Bristol, where anything can happen. I think we'll see a lot of what we saw at the Coliseum at Bristol, beating and banging on one another. Then you go to Auto Club, another, essentially super speedway track in these trucks, and into the dirt track of Eldora. What a great way to start the season, and Sam, I am looking forward to it.
It is going to be a fun one for sure. And right now, we're starting to see a lot more movement up front as drivers trying to shimmy their way to the lead group. And one of those drivers that decided not to qualify, watching Al Cameron, Sarge, Charles Hugel making the outside lane work for themselves, as well as Chris Stitz in the 17, third truck on the inside. But that outside groove, a lot of movement going on. And as well, you got the 9 machine of Brian Wilson, the rookie we were just talking about. He's up there in the top 10.
Yeah, Wilson right there behind Cameron Sargent in the 24, looking strong for himself in that 9 machine. He's got Christopher Wade to his inside, and he's got Christopher Norris right behind him in the 12 machine, trying to get that outside line, a little bit of a shove. But Doug Pierce being pushed by Charles Hugel in the 30, and then he's got his teammate Cameron Sargent right behind him. That outside line, though, not as formed up as I think they want to be, not getting the push off the corner they really need. But as I say that, a big shove there from the 30, giving Pierce a really good run to here down the front stretch. He's now side by side with the one of Will Bustle.
It just did not look like they were feeling steady at the exit of the tri-oval, but luckily able to stabilize as the drivers staying close to one another. But there is a lot of wiggling motion and some hard side drafting we're seeing from Doug Pierce and also Will Bustler. That is something that I've seen in other series that I've covered, where it can go from, a little competitive side drafting, trying to slow down that lane, to a giant wreck in a blink of an eye. So drivers have to be careful of living on the edge. Don't want to go too far, but certainly we're starting to see it from Doug Pierce and that of Charles Hugel. Got to be careful on that aggressive side drafting.
Yeah, using that side draft to their advantage. And basically what that does is that when you get that close to the truck, to the inside of you, it really pulls the air off of that truck, gives you a little bit of an advantage. It slows that truck to the inside down, but you got to be careful when you're doing that, because they might try to come up and side draft you to do the same, and you can meet in the middle. And we've seen it multiple times where drivers trying to side draft one another make contact and cause a crash. And you got to be careful about doing that, but you can really use that side draft to your advantage to get runs, create runs, and momentum for yourself.
And with all of this aggressive racing going on, do want to give a note of drivers having issued for themselves. Lyle Christensen had to spend extended time in pit road for the 52 machine. He is currently 20 laps down. And for that of John Dart, he was able to get his lap back with no one else going a lap down by the time that caution came out. So for that of the 99, back on the lead lap. We've got 28 drivers on the lead lap currently, as the field all still connected with the draft, except for that of Lyle Christensen, who finds himself all by himself entering turn 3, as the free field up front, almost 3 wide. We are 3 wide, as Doug Pierce trying to find a way to get into an opening. And then behind them, it's the 9 machine who's stuck on the outer groove.
Yeah, and all that shuffling, Wilson gets kind of shuffled to the outside of the 12 of Christopher Norris, and you got the 32 of Zach Hall right behind him. He's got his teammate in the 15 of Ken Campbell trying to follow suit. Wilson holding strong on that outside line by himself, though. He comes down a little bit, pinches the 32, but no contact made, as Wilson just tries to find a line that he can fall into. But the 39 of Doug Pierce started all this kind of 3 wide action. got a little loose going into turn number 1. That allowed Hugel to get to his inside and shuffle 39 back there. Third car now in that outside line, and from Ryan Wilson, there's nowhere for him to really fall in line, but should have a spot right here behind the 15 King Campbell.
He will do so as the 3 drivers that were in front of him going to be that of Christopher Norris, Zach Hall, and also that of Ken Campbell. Those are all 3 drivers from Fast Racing, with the fill-in of Christopher Norris for Andrew Medlin. Norris came in. I was talking with him before. He was really trying to get a kind of a lay of the land coming in. It's kind of a last-minute fill-in with Medlin not able to show up, and that is actually something that's been brought up coming into the season. Our fill-in drivers. Excited to see how that's going to work out, as we've got ourselves about that of 8 to 9 drivers that are going to be part-time to fill in drivers throughout the season. We'll see how they get utilized throughout the year, as up front it is that of Charles Hugel in the 30 leading the way on the outside lane. Ross Tatum leading the outside groove, as we are finding ourselves on lap 33 of 70. We've been out there on track for these drivers for about that of 10 laps of green flag racing, 12 laps since they went into pit road, and it looks to be closing into halfway from where we're expecting drivers to hit pit road, which I'm curious to see, Trevor, when do drivers decide to come into pit road? Do they go on the edge of making it to the green, or do they try to get set up for overtime for the expectation of when does the big one strike?
Yeah, I think you're going to want to stay out as long as you can, just for that off chance that there might be a wreck, with drivers coming to pit road, or like you said, for the possibility of overtime. You want to give yourself enough fuel to not have to come down if there is an overtime and lose track position, put yourself in the back of the pack. But we're expecting that fuel window 30 to 35 laps, depending on if you're in the draft. If you're out front, it's going to be shorter than that. So these drivers, especially that of the 21 of Ross Tatum, the 30 of Charles Hugel, these drivers leading their respective lines, they're going to be using much more fuel than the trucks behind them that have the draft. So those guys are going to be a little bit shorter on their pit window than everybody else is behind them.
How do you want to react here, as you see that of Brian Wilson on the outside lane to his inside? That's the 55 Sam Siegel, who's just trying to ride along. And you're getting to see this is kind of where the side-by-side racing kind of ends and trickles off. But I gotta say, the rest of the field all playing the patient game right now, Trevor. And we look at the rest of the field, this is where we find that of Ambush Racing, who we talked about earlier. You saw that of Austin Call, as well as Jason Farah, as well as seeing that of Jonathan Casebeer, all just lingering behind in the back half of this group.
Yeah, all behind our pole sitter there, John Dart, riding here in about that of 18th through 21st, and then we've got the 68 of Nick Holland right behind them. And then kind of about 4 or 5 truck lengths just within drafting distance goes back to Ryan Stanhoff in the 74 truck, leading that next group of drivers who are all just kind of riding around in the back, playing that patient game like we talked about. You got Chris Essery, Kyle Carpenter, Nick Gould back there along with Logan Kays, all just kind of biding their time, waiting to see if anything happens in front of them.
Yeah, and then you've also going to have that of, Nick Gould, as well as Logan Keys and Blair Patterson going to be just lingering behind, waiting for their chance and opportunity to go forward. But these drivers might be in a spot where I'm curious on how you want to react if you're these drivers back here, recognizing if we stay green, there is one green flag pit stop these drivers have to make. But if you're this far back, this could be a very detrimental position to be once pit stops start.
Yeah, if you don't get your pit stops, dead on, if you can't come out as a pack like these drivers are, they don't come out nose to tail like this, they could really lose a lot of time compared to that of the lead pack if they all get off pit road. Thankfully for them, though, able to stay within about that, 8/10 to a 1 second gap to that of the 68 of Nick Holland, so able to draft back up to the 68, keep themselves within touch of that lead pack right now. But if they do not have a clean pit stop, this could really hurt these guys that are further back in the pack.
Trying to figure out how to make this push forward, as our leaders about to be getting into lap traffic fiasco again, as that of Lyle Christensen has been caught. About to go a lap down again to make him 21 laps down. We'll see how that of Charles Hugel finally gets in line and dropping down low as the rest of the field tries to get by the 52. Always chaotic moment, mainly because everyone's trying to squeeze in and not trying to make any bad moves, but it's when they get to the corner where the drivers always are probably at the most riskiest when they're 3 wide.
Yeah, it's really tough when you get into that 3 wide situation in the corner, especially with the slower truck. You've seen how much these trucks move around. not the most stable of vehicles, especially when you're getting a shove from somebody. It get kind of squirrely on you, and we've seen it all night long with how much everybody's moving around. So when you're coming up on that lap traffic, really can make you nervous, especially going rewinding into these corners.
As the drivers are riding around, we got to see some of the ways that we got race control throwing out a yellow. Also, some black flags have been cleared throughout this race. But big thanks to our sponsor that allows race controls to have the easiest way to clear those black flags or throw yellows, and that is the admin box. The admin box is a premium button box that allows you to plug, set, and go to become the best admin box. Admin or race control out there for league or hosted races. Remember to use our promo code FFB-BOXX. That's FFB-box with 2 X's. Go get yourself a discount at the admin box, as the drivers still staying in line, staying steady at this moment. At this time, though, gotta say, they are keeping it steady. We still have plenty of racing action to be seen. As we are past halfway, we're gonna step aside, but you will not miss a thing. These drivers have been crazy. They've been keeping themselves in check. As they are really starting to ramp it up. But Trevor, gotta say, this is something that keeping it steady at this time, it's gonna be a lot for them to worry about, but we will again be back in just a few. You won't miss a thing as we go side by side as you are watching that of the Full Send Racing Series Season 4 at Daytona here on Freaking Fast Broadcasting. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Full Send Racing Series. This is the first race of Season 4 for the Daytona 175, presented by REG Customs on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Trevor Earhart and Robert Moyer Jr. running productions in the background. Pit stops are practically done. There are still 4 drivers that need to make their stops. It's going to be the 21 of that Ross Tatum, Will Bustler as well. It's Christopher Wade and Jonathan Woods. They're all going to have to figure out when they're going to have to come into pit road. And Trevor, with everyone else done with their pit stops, these 4 drivers got to be careful because they could be passed with the other drivers and the way that the speeds are ramping up.
Yeah, they very well could be passed, and this full set of teammates here deciding to go a little bit longer, maybe get, like we talked about before the commercial break, saving that fuel and making sure they have fuel for that green-white checkered if that comes out. But these 4 yet to make their pit stops, and Sam, everybody else already down pit road, didn't see much of an issue. A little bit of an issue for Charles Hugel on pit exit, got a little sideways coming out of his pit box, but everybody else on and off pit road fairly cleanly and trying to run down and pass these guys once they make these pit stops.
Well, with us having 20 to go and everything starting to ramp up, well, it might be time for you to get a little bit more cozy and ready for the madness, as some are 3 wide, some are still 2 wide. And if you want to get a little bit comfier, go get yourself some Freaky Fast Broadcasting merch. Go check out what we have. Got t-shirts, hoodies, great sizes for you, as well as some amazing colors to switch it around. Big thanks to everyone that's already purchased some merch from us. Love to get some more out there to everybody. I know we're going to look at potentially maybe getting some more merch line out there later on in the year. But in just that of a month, going to be tomorrow, we've got the best racing you could ask for the best cause. It is our 2nd annual Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation race, but this time we're not doing a 6 hours of Daytona endurance race. We're doing the full 500 miles, the Daytona 500. We're going to be adding the links for both that of our merch line and also the Discord to join in. Registration started 2 days ago. We're already over $300, and it's crazy to see the amount of drivers that have already donated to try to join the race. All you have to do, just donate $5 and you are entered into the race. It's a first come, first serve. So if you want to enter our 2nd annual race, they got to join now before those slots are taken up. Now, if you want to donate more, you easily can, and we'll be also doing more pushes for the donation later on. But man, we are excited for this race. It's in February, and I gotta say, Trevor, we're gonna be at this racetrack, and it's already produced some great racing, and I cannot wait to see some of the other races we get to see throughout the week.
Yeah, cannot wait for the rest of the week. Can't wait for that event. Such a great cause. Was a driver a part of it last year, and going to be taking part in it again this year as a member of the broadcast team. So can't wait for that. Such a great cause, and happy that everybody's turning out in force for that. Definitely looking forward to it. But right now, Sam, this race starting to heat up. Our top 4 still haven't pit yet, but it's been this battle back here in that second pack. The drivers who have already pit, led by that of the 24 Cameron Sargent. He's got his teammate behind him, and Sam Siegel in the 55, and then that outside line, Ryan Lynch, Cole Sacchetti. These drivers battling back and forth, pushing each other hard, trying to make up as much time as they can to win that front 4 of Tatum, Bustler, Wade, and Woods all make their pit stops.
Now, Trevor, I want to get your thoughts on this. I've been watching the times. Our leaders right now that still have not pitted, they're expected to come in either now or in the next 2 to 3 laps. They are running about almost a half a second faster than the rest of the pack. They are building up space. This could be a teammate battle. This is a great showing for themselves because they could, at this moment, try to stay ahead of everyone else at the end of the day.
Well, and they're doing it the right way. They're not battling with one another. They're staying in line, giving each other as much help as they can, pulling that gap. And while these drivers behind them keep battling, they're just losing a little bit of time, about a 43-second gap between that of Ross Tatum and this battle for 5th position between Sargent and Lynch as our leaders are hitting pit road.
Gonna be the 4 drivers. Big thing here. This is your money stop. Do not get caught speeding, entering, or during your pit lane, and also don't slide through your box, wasting any time. Jonathan Woods has a good entry for himself. The one Will Bustler having a good launch into his box. Also Ross Tatum, a good pit stop, and Christopher Wade, all 4 drivers, clean entry into their box. And here we go. They're just going to be taking off with just fuel only. Will that be the best call for themselves? But I got to say that Christopher Wade really didn't get the launch I was expecting. He's going to be in slight trouble of losing the draft, and he might fall to that second group.
Might fall to that second. Lost a lot of time to his teammates. Everybody else doing a really good job getting off the pit road, and they can't waste a lot of time waiting for that Christopher Wade to catch back up to him as this pack is coming. The second pack now currently coming into turn number 1 as these drivers are exiting turn 2, trying to get up to speed. This could be really close for our leaders, having lost that full truck as help.
It's going to be 10 seconds difference from our leaders to this other group, and they're coming at turn 2 now onto the backstretch. And for that of the 4 drivers, technically now just 3. Jonathan Woods, Ross Tatum, Will Bustler. They're in the middle of 3 and 4. It is an 8-second difference. But when you have a group of 3 compared to a group of 4, that is massive on a speed loss compared to this lead pack that is in full song. They've been trying to catch up. And Trevor, now it's time to count down the laps. It is going to be 16 to go. Can this group catch up to Woods, Tatum, and Bustler?
Can they catch up? Can they keep it clean? Can this group stay together and not get, beating and banging on one another, cause a caution, and try to run down this lead group? And I think the first truck they're going to end up catching is going to be that 53 of Christopher Wade as he's lost touch with his teammates there. We'll have to see if the three trucks can be just as quick as the 4 of them were, or with them losing Will Bustler, is that going to cause that group now to fall back into the clutches of the second pack as they're 3 wide down the back straightaway?
They're 3 wide, and that's losing time. You're going to be seeing that at the 30 machine. Charles Hugel losing touch as he will just drop to the very end of this group. And I'm watching the numbers, watching out for Cameron Sarton. They were about 8.5 seconds off of our leaders that last lap. Well, now only about 0.2 of a gain that last go around. It is not a lot of speed that we're seeing being caught up. And actually, looking at the true numbers, those pack of 3 were faster than this group we see on screen.
Faster, and Sam, I actually think they slowed down a little bit to let Christopher Wade catch up. Wade is now caught back up to Bustler, Tatum, and Woods, and this 4-truck breakaway that we saw right before these pit stops is back together again, and they could just continue to drive away from the second pack as long as they keep it clean and this race stays green. This might just be a 4-truck breakaway.
SXSS Racing. That is Will Bustler, Jonathan Woods, Ross Tatum, Christopher Wade. Our top 4 drivers. They stayed out the longest. They put down burner laps by themselves, and now leading the charge and continuing to try to pull away from this lead group. And I gotta say, this second pack, I think they're recognizing we have to get in line. If there's no other way they're gonna catch up to them, they continue to stay side by side.
No, they're losing too much time with the side drafting of one another, and then trying to make these 2 lines work. They're not going to catch those 4 trucks right now. 7.5 seconds the gap between Ryan Lynch, who's leading the second pack, and that of Christopher Wade, and they're running out of laps, Sam, to get this caught up, and might need the help of a caution if they want to catch back up and make this a race between not only themselves but those front 4 drivers.
And that caution, it is not a regular thing to see a race at a super speedway go full, coast to coast, green all the way to checkered. It's usually a big one. It's not an if, it's a when you talk about the big wrecks that strike at these types of racetracks. And Trevor, the impatience is going to kick in. I think drivers might recognize, all right, we're not racing for the win. We're racing now just to see who can get a 5th place finish at the end of the day.
Yeah, that very well likely could be that case. I mean, they're closing the gap just a little bit, but not a lot. 7.2 seconds the gap now, down, closing in about 0.3, but still not gaining enough. 13 laps to go. And we might see a couple drivers in this backpack just decide, hey, I want to try to get the best of a finish as I can. I don't think we're going to catch these leaders, and these moves might start to get more and more aggressive as these laps continue to wind down.
7.5 seconds, the gap as they come out of turn number 4. Group of 4 still single filed out, and that difference needs to dwindle and shrink quickly. That last lap was the advantage to the second pack, but only by 0.4. And if you do the math, 0.4 by 10 laps, that's only 4 seconds you're expected to gain on that group ahead, meaning you're going to be 3 seconds off of our leaders. That's just so much time that you need to figure out, and continuously staying side by side is too much loss. But they're starting to get impatient. It's gonna be seeing that of the 12 bounce to the outside. Christopher Norris, Zach Hall, all saying, Philip Chavez, we don't want you to be leading this outside group. And now they're starting to get that impatience kicking in.
Yeah, that impatience kicking in. They've put the 101 of Chavez 3 wide in the middle there, and Chavez looking for a way to get out of this, just nowhere to go as he's got trucks lined up to his inside, to his outside, the 3 trucks of Freaky Fast Motorsports to his outside of Christopher Norris, Zach Hall, and 15 of Ken Campbell. But Chavez holding strong on that middle line, not allowing this outside line to really get that momentum, and that's just going to hurt these guys that are behind Chavez and behind Norris. Is that top line in that middle groove just killing all the momentum of everybody around him.
It's hurting them even more, and this could be worth finding a wreck as the 101 finds the space to the inside, and now we're going to be side by side. Can Freaking Fast Racing on that outside lane, the 3 trucks in line, trying to figure out how they can build the momentum up. I need a little bit more assistance from Ken Campbell to close in on the gap, as the 32 is that call right on the back bumper of Christopher Norris, but everyone trying to hold on for this second pack as it's 10 to go for Jonathan Woods, Ross Tatum, Will Bustler, Christopher Wade, the 4 teammates. What a strategy call. We were kind of scratching our head at one moment, but this is a brilliant call for themselves to stay out as late as possible instead of hitting early, as you're seeing this second group. You're seeing that 42 getting a little bit scary there for a moment.
A little scary, a little bit of a big wiggle from the 24th Cameron Sarton there out of turn number 2, but he keeps it straight. But those Freaky Fast trucks staying on that outside line, a lot of speed from those 3 trucks. Clear of that inside line, all of them except for that of Kim Campbell in the 15 machine. We'll have to see if Zach Hall and Christopher Norris decide to drop to the inside, but they're going to stay to the outside line with their teammate. Now they got the 101 of Chavez right in behind them, trying to make that a 4-truck breakaway. And while they're doing this, closing the gap slightly to our leaders, down to about 5.8 seconds to gap. And they're running out of time.
Running out of time. Norris says we are seeing him on screen. That 12 machine, excuse me, he has been making a pretty odd move for himself. Curious on how that's going to work out, with dropping down as soon as he did. Not letting his teammates go, but it could be a decision of letting Zach Hall get the fresh air and leading that group. Allow the 32 to get up front. Let Ken Campbell push this 32 and see how much more speed they can build up.
Yeah, it might have been one of those things that Zach Hall might have been overheating a little bit. Just a little bit of a team reversal there. Let the 12 drop down, give the 32 the fresh air, and then let those 3 link back up as Campbell, big run to the back of the 32 machine of Zach Hall, the big shove, and North going to try to close back in on these guys and see what he can do to help them. As now it's going to be the 3 trucks of Freaky Fast leading the second pack.
The second pack needs to find the extra pace and speed for themselves, as our top 4 saw a lot of time being lost, and they are now starting to squeeze in. Some drivers shuffling, trying to put some drivers in line. We've got the best of that of speed and aero damage, aero working, and make sure those temps are at the right peak. 8 laps to go, and now it's a look at the laps, look at the time, because that second pack, they need to get within, Trevor, would you say about 1.5 seconds to a second? Then they'll start a little bit of a draft assistance to catch up to this top group.
Yeah, they need to get to within about a second, maybe 1.2 seconds of Christopher Wade to start getting that draft advantage from the back of the 53 machine. But with all that shuffling that they did, trying to get those 3 trucks to the front of this pack, they ended up losing about a second to maybe about a 0.5 second to a second, trying to get all that shuffling done. And so now they've got to try to gain all that time that they've lost back up. And Sam, we're down to 7 laps to go, and it's not looking like, provided they don't get a caution, I don't think they're going to be able to catch those top 4 trucks.
It's really not looking that great, and it seems like the faster laps that were being put down was in that outside lane. I'm curious on if everyone was on the outside, how much faster they would be rolling through and trying to catch up to this lead pack, but they're all deciding to go with tradition. Stay low, try to get as fast as you can, but the laps continue to dwindle away. 7 to go for Jonathan Woods, back in that in first place. This is the second pack that we see on screen. 6 to go now, and they are a little bit over 5.5 seconds off of our leaders. They are not close enough. The time does not add up for them to catch our leaders. They're going to need a miracle or a caution to get back in this race.
5 seconds to that of the leader, Jonathan Woods, 4.7 seconds to that of Christopher Wade trying to run down, get within that magical, 1 second gap to the 53 to get that draft help. Starting to get side by side again, Sam, with this backpack. The 3 there of Ryan Lynch to the outside of the 32 of Zach Hall. He's got help from the 1-on-1 of Philip Chavez, and that's just going to keep slowing these guys down. But the outside line, not a great run off of turn number 3. It's going to allow the inside line to keep it clear and get a little bit more momentum going down the front stretch.
Seen a lot of wiggling in the second pack, but it's the leaders that we're looking to because they just got added a 5th driver. That's Nick Holland, who's going to be now 1 lap down for the 68. He was a part of this lead group right before they came into pit road, and they were the massive surge in laps and positionings being gained. Well, to ramp up that speed, 5 to go, 5 drivers in line. This second group might not be able to catch up in time with the fact that now there are 5 trucks in a lane.
Yeah, that extra truck just gives them a little bit more momentum, a little bit more of a shove from the rear end of that pack to keep that speed going for those front 4 drivers. And I think it's gonna take a caution for this field to bunch back up. And if it stays green, what a strategy call by those 4 drivers. That team played it perfectly and will be able to race it amongst themselves. And that'll be the interesting part, Sam. If this stays green, what is the call when we get to the white flag? What are those teammates going to decide to do?
Also, I'm looking at the fact of due to our leaders, there's a little bit of Nick Holland not squeezing up as much. He's actually lingering back right on the cusp of the draft. You've seen this shot, that second pack, the large one. All of those drivers trying to close in the group as much as possible. The difference between Zach Hall leading that second pack to our leader of Jonathan Woods is 5.3 seconds. The difference between Zach Hall to that of Nick Holland, though, a little bit under 5 seconds. So if they can get close enough to Holland, that might give them enough of a draft boost to catch up to this pack. But it's 3 laps to go. Again, the math doesn't add up. They need a caution, but they're going to need it before we get the white flag.
Yeah, going to need that caution before the white flag. Once we get that white flag, the race is over. But these drivers starting to get, a little bit of contact back there as John Dart gets into the outside wall, gets loose, and then he goes spinning to the inside line.
They're wrecking in the back, and John Dart wrecks in that of turn 1 and 2, and he went airborne into the atmosphere and comes crashing back down. Our pole sitter done for the race, and we're heading to overtime.
And just like that, not what those top 4 wanted to see with the caution. Nick Holland, though, going to get that lucky dog. And get back onto the lead lap, but just heartbreak for those 4 teammates there as they had the perfect strategy played out as we take a look and see what happened to the 99 of John Dart.
And you're starting to see that shuffling of drivers recognizing, all right, we're getting to the end of the race. We may not catch them. John Dart's brushing that outside wall, gets into that of the 118 here, and Ferre going to be trying his best to stay off the 19, but once it gets back into the wall again, this is when that of the 99 just has nowhere to go for himself, comes back crashing down. And Trevor, there's not much saving that's going to happen at this point.
Yeah, not much you can really do there. It looks like for John Dart there, got loose when he got out of the wall. Gets a little bit of help from the 118 there, and then just loose as you trying to catch it at that speed. And unfortunately there for Jason Ferre, John Dart, and the 14 of Nick Gould, there just nowhere for those 3 drivers to go as they all get a little bit of damage here. But same opportunity for the drivers to catch their breath now. Strategy's out the window. We're going to green, white, checker finish, and anything can happen now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of different things could happen. We're going to take a different look at this incident of drivers that got in the aftermath. You see the 99 and all the brushing going on. The 14 of Nick Gould also going to be caught up in this. You see the launching, but this was the drivers that were trying to survive, and Gould comes down right into the 30, and he's going to drift, slide up, and going to go back up into the outside wall. And for that of Nick Gould in the 14, that is actually going to be putting him in a spot of required damage with some of those contacts. John Dart as well with required, and also the 118 of Jason Ferre going to be involved in those different issues of required damages. So they're going to be in pit road, getting as much damage repair as possible. But for the drivers that are up front, they get to test and see how this race is going to finish out. We are heading to overtime. It is a green, white, checkered and we have 3 attempts if needed. So when we go to green, it's going to be 2 laps to go. If we get to the white flag the last lap, we will race it to the end. But if a yellow flag comes out on that first lap that we go green, we will then go to our second attempt. If the same thing happens, go on that first lap, yellow flag comes out, we will go into our third attempt. If we go into the third attempt, there's some small changes if needed. We'll talk about them there. But Trevor, overtime, you just saw our top 4 dominate there, looking good. The rest of the field now, if we get into some long pushes, they could be in a spot where they might have to come into pit road if we get into that third attempt of overtime.
Very well could, be if we get to that third attempt, fuel mileage might be an issue for those guys that came in as early as they did. But right now you got the 4 trucks of SXS Racing up front with Will Bustler, Woods, Tatum, and Wade. Then you got the 3 trucks of Freaky Fast Motorsports right behind them with that of Zach Hall, Christopher Norris, and the 15 there of Ken Campbell. And I think those 2 teams right now, Sam, have shown that they are the 2 teams that you have to beat if you want to win this race. But I don't know what's going to happen with those. I feel like the SXS guys have the advantage with those 4 trucks being all up front.
And who could try to change up those runs for themselves as we're stacking up, getting ready to go. At this point, this could be the last restart of the race. Trevor, if you're some of these drivers further on back, if you're, in 14th, 15th, or even back in 20th, do you feel like you have an opportunity for this race on this attempt, or do you feel like you need another caution to break through and go for a win?
I think as a driver, you have to feel like you have a shot no matter where you're at, especially at a super speedway track, because anything can happen, especially on a green-white checkered finish. You've got to not be afraid to put yourself in a situation that, you might be uncomfortable with, because it might be the right line. If a wreck does happen, it might be the line that gets you through that wreck and gives you a chance to get out front. We saw it last season in the Xfinity cars. That happened. Last night, if anybody was watching, we saw that happen with the with the race car graveyard guys on Monday night, where there was a wreck and the drivers picked the line and it worked out for them. So you just got to be there and not be afraid to put yourself in a situation that you're uncomfortable with.
As the drivers getting ready through 3 and 4, this is the start of a season 4 for themselves. We've seen that of Cameron Starton win championships in season 1 and season 2. Ross Tatum, who is starting in 2nd place on this restart, he won last season. Who wants to start season 4 on the right foot? It's time to find out. Will this be the one and only overtime attempt, or will we need to use another one? The drivers are set. Pace cars pulling off. The Daytona 175 presented by REG Customs is green here for our first attempt at overtime. The 2 of Jonathan Woods gets a fantastic launch, but was it too good of a launch? Because here comes Will Bustler, Zach Hall. They're coming with a huge surge on the bottom.
Coming with a surge, and Zach has to check up there, and that also checks up Ryan Lynch. And Philip Chavez is going to allow that of Tatum in the 53 of Wade, and Ken Campbell in the 15 gives him a really good run on that outside line, along with the 12 of Christopher Norris and the 42 of Cole Sacchetti. That top line with a lot of momentum down the backstretch, clearing that inside line of the 2 of Jonathan Woods.
And it's going to be that of SXS Racing, who is hoping to keep each other in line. That is our top 3, all with one another. Top 4, is that of Ken Campbell. He's going to be the 3rd truck on the outside. He's got the fill-in driver from Freaky Fast Racing right behind him. But here we go. It's your Freaky Fast white flag. We kept it. We only needed 1 attempt. This is it. The last lap. Who's winning the Daytona 175?
And here we go, side by side, going into turn number 1. Tatum to the outside of his teammate, Jonathan Woods, into turn number 1. Not a lot of help, though, from the 53 Christopher Wade. They're lagging back a little bit. See if they can get that run down the backstretch. They got the 15 of Ken Campbell waiting in the wings in that 3rd position on that outside line, seeing what he can do. Not a bunch of momentum as they're wrecking down the backstretch.
Wrecking behind. It's going to be the 8 of Case Beer who's going to be causing the wreck behind, but they continue to stay straight. It's their top 14 all still there. It's going to be Ken Campbell with Christopher Wade, who will bounce that 3rd lane. You cannot make a pass under the yellow. You have to stay on course. Here comes Ken Campbell on the outside, forcing it 3 wide, but it's the teammates. 1, 2, plus potentially 3, 4, and they are. 4 drivers in line. They keep it together. And Jonathan Woods as the melee absolutely scatters after they cross the line.
Huge wreck after the line, but what a finish there from the SXS guys. Top 4 positions for those guys. Played the pit strategy well. Jonathan Woods comes out with the win here tonight at Daytona, and Sam, they played that strategy perfectly. The team play was great, and they've got to be feeling good to start this season off.
It's the rookie of the team, Jonathan Woods, gets the win. Ross Tatum gets second, Will Bustler third, and Christopher Wade will come away fourth. What a teamwork effort for themselves. And the two gets himself in victory lane to start out his rookie campaign. I mean, I know that team had to take control, and what a way to do it as a team of 4. They took complete control of the inside and the outside lane. No one else balanced out to work with Ken Campbell. It was really just them on who was going to win that race.
Yeah, surprised that, Christopher Norris didn't try to go up and help the 15 to Ken Campbell. Maybe feeling like they didn't have the run. Then we saw the contact coming through the trial. We kind of scattered that back, 5 of the field there, and just nobody really had anything to upset these top 4 trucks and able to control the pace, like you said. And Jonathan Woods comes out of here, the rookie, with the win here at Daytona, and a great start to the season for him.
An absolutely spectacular finish for tonight's race, and Jonathan Woods gets to burn it down. And for us up at the booth, the night's not over. We got the post-race show. We're going to talk to our top 2 and a special guest driver. We'll be back in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for the Full Send Racing Series, the season opener for Season 4. And what a dominating run by the teammates of SXS Racing. The 4 teammates finished 1, 2, 3, 4, and what a showing for a team to start out their year. We are going to start things off with our winner, Jonathan Woods, to get his thoughts on tonight. Jonathan, it's Sam and Trevor up at the booth. It's your rookie season, your first race, and your team goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Man, how are you feeling right now?
I tell you what, that was impressive. I like that 1, 2, 3, 4 better than I do the win, honestly.
You know, Jonathan, walk us through y'all's pit strategy. Y'all stayed out later than everybody, got back together fairly well there, was pulling a gap, looking fairly good for yourself, but you get that late race caution. I mean, what's going through the team's chat there toward the end of that race?
Well, we stayed out longer, trying to get it to where we could just take one can of fuel and get in and out. I think my pit stop was like 7.7 seconds, and it worked out for all of us. And we were going to be good there to the end. If it would have went past this first green white checker, though, we probably would have all had to pit.
I mean, Jonathan, with this win and you run out 13 of the 15 races, you're locked into the playoffs. How does this feel knowing you're coming into a brand new league and you get the win and you're going to now just kind of have an easy breeze until the playoffs?
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of pressure off. Just kind of can race for fun now. Try not to make any enemies. That'd be the main thing here. But yeah, it's nice to get a win first race of the season.
Well, Jonathan, congratulations again on the win. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Like to thank, like I said, I'd like to thank teammates first and foremost, Ross and Will and Chris. They all did awesome job tonight. Thanks y'all for putting on the broadcast. It's awesome to go back and watch these. And thanks for everybody in the league that put this together. Appreciate having me.
That is going to be your winner here tonight, Jonathan Woods and the number 2 machine from SXS Racing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Congratulations and good luck at the next race.
Thank you.
As we go from victory lane, we head to second place, where I'd imagine they're still happy over there as we bring in last season's champion, comes away second. Ross, your team goes 1, 2, 3, 4. Your rookie comes in, wins tonight's race. Man, how are you feeling after that run?
I feel great, man. I'm so happy for Jonathan. Jonathan has been plugging along for 2 years, basically, on iRacing, and hasn't got the results he's deserved. And tonight he came out and won, so I'm super happy for him. He lives 5 minutes down the road from me, so I feel really good for him. Maybe I'll go by his workplace tomorrow and bring him a champagne or something.
You know, Ross, you've had a great start to the season so far. Ran really good at the exhibition race at the Coliseum until a little bit of an internet issue and some contact with Cameron Sarton, and then coming out tonight, the team performs well. You come home with a second. Got to feel pretty good about going into Homestead, you know, coming off the momentum of winning the championship last year. I mean, how are you feeling going into next week?
I'm so excited, especially about that we're back in the trucks. Trucks are just so fun to race on iRacing. I think Homestead next week's going to be a lot of lines. I don't think it'll just be that one line like we had in the other 2 series. So I think it'll be fun to watch, fun to race, and I'm feeling good. I mean, I already told my team it's all downhill from here. We can't go 1, 2, 3, 4 ever again, probably. So we'll just keep plugging along, and hopefully we can get some more team wins before the playoffs.
Well, it certainly was spectacular to see you guys go 1, 2, 3, 4. But before I let you go, Ross, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Thanks, guys. Got to thank Coca-Cola for paying my internet bills, making be able to race every week. Got to thank Will Bustler. He paints the best paint schemes on iRacing. I hope everyone hits him up. Got to thank all the league sponsors that make this happen. They couldn't do any of this without all those guys. I should have wrote them down. I can't remember them. Got to thank my teammates, Jonathan, especially for winning, Chris Wade and Will Bustler. I mean, it's just it's the perfect team for me. These are the guys I've been wanting to race with on a team forever, and we finally get to do it this season. So it should be a really fun race, or really fun season. And got to thank you guys at Freaky Fast. Super excited for the event y'all are holding next month at Daytona. Can't wait to race it. And for everything you guys do, y'all are the best. No one comes close, and I hope everyone gets you guys to broadcast them, and all the fans for watching.
Well, thanks, Ross, for giving us a great showing on track for us to broadcast. That's going to be your second place finisher, the 21 of Ross Tatum. Congratulations on a great finish, and good luck at Homestead next week.
Thanks, guys.
As that event Ross was talking about is our Daytona 500 in February, where we are doing a charity race for that of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. In our chat currently, you can scroll up. There is a link to our Discord if you'd like to race or just be a part of our community Discord and see all the updates. Well, from second place, let's go check out our guest driver. It's going to be the 12 of Christopher Norris that we bring up in the booth. And the reasoning why, Christopher was a fill-in driver. Chris, you find yourself coming away with a 7th place finish. Your team all in line 5th, 6th, 7th. Weren't able to beat out the SXS Racing team, but man, how are you feeling coming away with a 7th place finish?
Honestly, it's pretty awesome to feel qualifying in second. I believe that's my first time ever qualifying on the front row, especially in second place. Coming in tonight is amazing. We worked pretty well all together. Zach, he was a huge help in pushing and just, strategy and all that stuff. I mean, it's pretty dang cool.
I mean, Norris, walk us through the pressure of being that fill-in driver. I mean, you're running for Andrew Medlin while he's out for these next couple of races. I mean, what is the pressure like knowing that your finishes kind of reflect Medlin's points throughout the season?
Yeah, honestly, overall, last night, in the ISS Truck Series, I am always super cautious on points. I love to be locked into the playoffs, and I know that's the feeling that Medlin wants. He does not want someone to come into the track and wreck the truck and end up upside down, unfortunately on a stretcher, leaving the race. So I of course wanted to keep it clean, keep it smooth, keep it calm, and that was our game plan. We were thinking about keeping it in the back, keeping it calm, but all of a sudden we just ended up qualifying in the front row, and we just had the opportunity to be able to control the race at some points and also be able to keep it up front where we could keep it clean and green.
Well, Norris, it was an incredible run for us to watch you be up front and keep this truck out of trouble as a fill-in driver. Congratulations on a top 10 finish. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Thank you. Of course, I want to give a shout out to the team, especially Zach Hall, for the amazing opportunity to come out and on the 12 truck while Andrew Mendlin is out, I believe, on a business trip. And then, of course, also you guys, and then Lids. I know Guy WhatsApp provides me with some hats and some sponsorship, so that's always pretty fun to have.
As that is going to be Christopher Norris in the 12 machine, filling in for Andrew Medlin and gets a 7th place finish. Congratulations, Norris, on that. And we'll be seeing you at some point as a full-time driver, maybe in this series later on. As you have a good rest of your night and good luck in your next race.
Thank you.
As we go from our interviews, we'll check out what our unofficial results are here tonight. Talked about how it was teammates 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, then a completely other team finishing 5th, 6th, 7th. Teamwork, obviously, the key when you come to these super speedway races and getting to see a little bit of that magic. As we look at our unofficial results, it's going to be that of Jonathan Woods finding himself getting the win. Ross Tatum's going to be getting 2nd. Will Bustler gets 3rd. That of Christopher Wade gets 4th. Zach Hall, going to be a part of Freaky Fast Racing, going to get 5th. With Ken Campbell, 6th, 7th goes to that Christopher Norris, with Ryan Lynch 8th. 9th goes to Philip Chavez, and seeing the rookie of Austin Call taking away that 10th place position. But Trevor, the big melee that happened going in the back stretch as well as after crossing the line, drivers certainly not finding some of the best finishes they wanted.
Yeah, not finding the finishes they wanted. A lot of kind of up and down nights. Travis Dart down 15 spots from where he started. John Dart, our pole sitter, all the way down there in 27th after his little contact with Jason Foray in turn number 1, all the way down there in 27th. But, you got to look at the guys like Ryan Lynch up 12 spots. Sam Siegel in the 55 finishes 11th, up 15 from where he started. Cameron Sarton from the back of the field up to 13th. So drivers with kind of some mixed emotions going out of Daytona, but, that's Daytona for you. You never know what's going to happen until you get that checkered flag and where you're going to finish.
That is how this season is going to start out, dominating by teammates, but super speedway racing is kind of a crapshoot. You never know what you're going to get, but one thing that we do know is that these next couple of tracks, drivers are going to have to show out their skill. How will the rookie class show out? We'll have to see then. But Trevor, before we officially call it a night here at Daytona, the floor is yours for any of your final calls.
Just a great overall race, really clean. We had those one caution apart from our stage break with the contact between John Dart and Jason Foray that brought out our only caution of the race. Great teamwork by the SXS guys. That's going to be a tongue twister all season long, trying to say that quickly. But great teamwork from them and the Freaky Fast guys. I think that just shows when we get to our next super speedway that those two teams are going to be the teams you're going to have to watch out for. But definitely looking forward to getting into next week at Homestead. Multi-groove racing. The trucks are so much fun to drive around there. They always put on a great show, and looking forward to that race.
This season looks to be a good one to watch out for as tonight comes to a conclusion for our Daytona stint of Super Speedway Racing, but more Super Speedway Racing is going to happen tomorrow night. The Wicked Racing League, their Season 2 opener goes to Talladega as the next-gen drivers are going to have a test to see how well they're going to be running. And also on that of Thursday, the second race of the season for Stars and Stripes, they're heading to Legacy, Texas in the ARCA cars. It has been awesome to watch those drivers last Thursday showing off the classic schemes that they're going to be running for the whole entire season. It just feels like a throwback of 2003 to 2006 with all of the old classic schemes that were ran back in NASCAR. But man, cannot wait for the rest of this week. We've got plenty of more racing coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But for myself, Sam Dyer, for Trevor Earhart, Robert Moyer, and everyone else that works here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for watching. Thank you for enjoying the coverage. Jonathan Woods gets the win with a teamwork that you probably won't see in very many other leagues, but this is what you always look for. Perfection. Teammates. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll see if they can do it again next week at Homestead. But for us, we'll see you tomorrow night. It's the Wicked Racing League. We'll see you on our next broadcast.